Hi there, welcome to the I Ching Cafe. My name is Belinda Dovston and it's great to have you with us here. This is our weekly overview for the week commencing the 9th of November 2020. So let's get into the week. And of course, before we do that, let's recap what happened last week. We had Hexagram 8 holding together, really helping us to double down on this repeated locked hexagram of focusing on groups, who we are associated with, what are our choices, what is our contribution, how do we lead our industry, our business, our family, and really being called to think differently around what we choose to move forward with as we go into our journey. And of course, the monthly overview for November is all about new adventures and bringing things to a close, being calm and still and stabilizing where we are. So if you've not yet done so, go and check out November's overview. So this week, it is not a locked hexagram, which means we have some changing lines, and we have two changing lines, a bit of good dose of change for us this week. So let's have a look at what the week is asking us to pay attention to. Where should our focus be for us to accelerate and develop the most clarity and awareness in the week to come ahead of us? Okay, so our first hexagram for this week, the first flow of change, the first symbol to help us unlock the week, is hexagram 38, opposition. Okay, so you're probably thinking, oh, opposition, really? We've had all kinds of standstill and difficulty and obstruction over the last few months. What is 38 opposition? Well, the best way to describe this hexagram, this flow of change, is what happens when we try to mix water and oil. The two do not meet. They are not friends. They do not get along well. One is one form, one is the other. Both are liquid, but they just do not bond together well. And so in this week, what we're being asked to pay attention to is where we are in opposition to other people, or where we are in a position to coach others through an opposition. Because it might not be about you personally being opposed, but about a journey and experience around you, your team, your family, your friends, some form of opposition that you are needing to mediate. And if it's you that's in opposition to somebody else or to something else, finding a way to mediate a solution. So for you, this might literally mean that you become aware of a diverging interest, right? We are never going to mix. Oil and water just do not mix. We're going to diverge, we're going to part ways, we're going to call it a day. We just do not see eye to eye. And maybe there's a relationship issue for you that you're working through on that nature, business or personal. Yet, wouldn't it be far greater if we could grow into the opposition? And this is what this hexagram is really calling us to learn through its flow of change. Because opposition is not about bashing our heads against opposing views, because this week in particular, can feel like we aren't understood. Everyone's got a different agenda. We can't see eye to eye. We can't find a common ground. But this flow of change is about finding that common ground. And a very simple way of trying to understand this is this symbol of when we make mayonnaise and we take essentially a liquid and we take an oil and we blend them together. We emulsify them through the egg and through the process of blending them together. And this is exactly what we've been called to focus on, or to get clarity on this week, that there's something that we are at odds with, and the way to work through it, the way to maximize our development this week, is to say, let us turn conflict into creative tension. Let's emulsify our views into something more, if we can, and accept that if our paths are so different that we can't find common ground, to accept that. So this week, interesting times, learning to deal with opposition. This could feel like conflict, block communication, not being heard, not being understood, people just having very, very hard and fast views about what it is that they believe in, and these two sides kind of splitting. I do think in my mind at the current politics in the United States, and think about this idea of this opposition, two parties in opposition having totally different views and trying to find a way of unifying a nation towards a life after politics or a life after an election. So that's a very, very relevant and current example for us to think about this idea of opposition And the way we unify is to emulsify our views into something different, something new, something unusual and expected as a way of solving this problem and moving us all forward. So we have two changing lines this week. The first one in the second position and the second one in the sixth position. So let's have a look at what these changing lines are giving us as particular pieces of insight for this week. The first changing line in the second position talks about having an unusual encounter or having a meeting or coming across or creating a connection in an unusual and unexpected way. It's like you turn the corner and suddenly the unexpected solution pops out, and being at peace with finding a way through this opposition in an unexpected way. In the last minute, something pops out of the woodwork. And our task, of course, is to embrace the fact that it's unusual. So in this week, keep your eyes open for the unexpected encounter that liberates you from the opposition or resolves the conflict that you find yourself in. Remembering also that for opposition can also be internal. In other words, I have two conflicting views that do not meet, and I don't know how to resolve these two pictures I have in my mind. So someone's going to come help you resolve that opposition, something unexpected, an encounter or a connection that you hadn't seen coming in an unusual way, in an unusual time, and go with it. The next changing line says, we see the help coming towards us as if they are pigs in mud, rather than the marriage alliance we need to make. So the second part of the week is a second opportunity for resolving opposition, or perhaps a different opposition in your life. Maybe the first one was a personal issue and the second one is a business issue. But this opportunity is the help you need is coming to help you, and you need to make an alliance to help resolve this opposition. But our challenge is to see the help coming as help and not as low-life, dirty pigs that have come to cause trouble or thieves that have come to take something from us. So I would say wherever this week where you feel threatened by someone else offering you help or approaching you, where you feel hackles up because this is now someone who's after me or is going to hurt me or is lower than me or is low life or is inferior, whatever is the internal dialogue, wherever that pops up for you, I really ask you to think about this episode and go, maybe this is actually the help I need. And that's all we need to do. We need to shift our perspective on the help that's arrived. And then the way can open and the flow can happen, and we finally resolve the conflict and the sun comes up and the angels sing. Okay, I'm exaggerating just a little bit. But that's the point, is that it's the shift in perspective we have around the help and what we think is trying to attack us, which is actually trying to help us. Seek an alliance with that. Before I get into the second flow of change, or the second hexagram for this week, I'd like to just call you out to subscribe to this channel if you have not yet done so, whether you're on the podcast or you're on the YouTube channel. Every single subscribe, like, share, comment really helps me on this channel, and it helps our community to grow and learn together. If you've got questions, post them. Really encourage you to subscribe, like, and share, and of course, join the conversation on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter that we continue to have with giveaways and information, and of course, our postings on a weekly and monthly basis. So, our second hexagram, our second flow of change, is hexagram 51, shock. And this hexagram we've had so many times, so by now you must feel this is your best friend that you never knew you had. Okay, this hexagram is all about the lightning and thunder, the doubling of thunder that we see here, that comes and shakes us up and gets us moving and accelerates things. It's like a whole lot of static energy that gets shaken up. And this shock energy helps us to get moving. Wherever we are stuck or we're feeling and bogged down, shock energy comes to shake us up, rattle the cage, make us feel all our senses are alive and we are here and present, and then we can accelerate into this new phase. It clears the air. It prepares the way to get moving. So whatever this opposition is we face, whatever this inner conflict or this indecision or procrastination or opposing views or not being heard, whatever that is, if we focus on these changing lines and focus on creating, oil and water emulsifying into something new, if we focus on that, There's this energy of a shake-up, of a movement, of an acceleration that comes to help us. I would imagine that things are going to start speeding up for us now. And with this 51 shock, definitely expect some unexpected movement, some energy to help us get forward. Perhaps that client that you haven't heard from for ages suddenly says yes and the deadline is extremely short. Perhaps you get challenged on something where you have to make a decision and that really unlocks a whole lot of procrastination. Whatever it is, hold on to your hat, stay focused on your purpose, and just get moving. A really interesting week. I think liberation here for us. There's the opportunity in the changing lines, the promise of resolving where we are stuck, where we feel opposed, where we don't feel in flow, with the promise of accelerated energy as we move throughout the week. Remember that as always, if you follow the link below this episode, to go and enter your question into the monthly giveaway tutorial where you get to submit your own question and enter that in, and the lucky draw happens and the winner gets their question answered in a video. So if you'd like to participate in that process, I'd really encourage you to do that and put your question in. Even if it's the same question you submit every month, it doesn't matter. I see it as an act of generosity if you participate. So thank you so much. I really look forward to seeing you at our next weekly overview. And in the meantime, take care.